Coming up tonight, a grim warning from the health minister as COVID cases climb. Meanwhile, a Grand Bahama resident opens up on her experience with the virus. Plus, a man faces a court over burglary and rape charges.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Jared Higgs. Topping news tonight, Minister of Health Renford Wells confirming 69 new cases of COVID-19, bringing the country's total to 830. Wells offered a grim message announcing that hospitalizations are at 30 and 3 or 4 deaths are under investigation.
With increasing hospitalization, the country must brace itself to experience more deaths from COVID-19. Causes of deaths must be and have been verified by autopsy.
Meanwhile, 30 healthcare workers, including 15 in Grand Bahama, have contracted COVID-19 during the second wave. Yesterday, 23 patients at Sandilands tested positive for COVID-19. Wells defended government's handling of the healthcare situation, insisting that the channels of communication between government and unions representing healthcare and allied workers are open. He also insisted that it wouldn't be possible to treat patients and inform media of what is happening at the same time.
Understand what is going on, seek to do the contact tracing, get the requisite information first. In responding to it, and in the process of responding to it, then the information is given to the wider public as to what the Ministry of Health is doing in that response. And a part of that response would be, here's an institution where we have positive patients, and here's what we're saying in regards to you coming to that institution, whether you should come to that institution or not come to that institution. And that is what the Ministry of Health has been doing. I have been Minister of Health now for 18 days, and I've seen no evidence, none whatsoever, that health is holding information from the general public. It serves us no purpose to do such.
To respond to the high number of new cases, a contact tracing task force has been established. Health officials say it isn't possible to say how many cases may get confirmed during the second wave. However, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Pearl Macmillan says there was a decrease in COVID-19 cases when comparing week 4 of the second wave to week 5. Projections show that the measures are working, but Macmillan says it is still early and time will tell.
The hill curve for Grand Bahama, as you are looking at now, suggests that aggressive growth of this wave is slowing. For the second week, we can say that while we have examples of a few undisciplined cases collectively, Grand Bahama is doing the right thing to impede the spread of the virus. In the New Providence graph? Yes. When we look at the position of the data points for New Providence for this week, that is the blue dots against the hill projection, we note that the last 4 points, the blue points, are below the line. This gives the appearance of early signs that we are on the right track. But cautious optimism is in order.
A mother of 1 on Grand Bahama is speaking out on her experience with COVID-19. The woman admits she was lucky that her symptoms weren't worse.
My biggest concern was my son. He was born premature.
32-year-old Grand Bahama resident Bianca Straw knew something wasn't right when she lost her sense of smell nearly 2 weeks ago.
We was warming some spicy food, and I was like, that smells like ammonia or like bleach. You know, the rest of the day, I just slowly started losing my sense of smell.
Strawn, the mother of an 18-month-old toddler, was worried, knowing that one of the common symptoms of coronavirus is loss of sense of smell. She was following health updates and knew the virus was spreading on Grand Bahama.
I was congested. It was almost, I felt like I had a cold, and then it was body aches and things like that, but it was nothing extreme.
Because of that, she says health officials were reluctant to test her.
I had, a friend who was a nurse, And she basically was like, go and fight to get tested. Like, go down there and like make them test you.
The cashier and courier eventually got tested at Samaritan's Purse, and sure enough, her results came back positive after an 8-day wait. We caught up with Strawn on Zoom. She's recovering at home and is in good spirits. However, she admits that the initial news surprised her.
She called me on the phone. I went silent for a couple of seconds. And she's like, hello, are you there? And it was just like my brain processing. Like, even though I knew it was coming, it was like still hearing the words, you know, the results came back positive, but still shock, you know?
A spike in COVID-19 cases has resulted in the country being placed on a 2-week lockdown. Grand Bahama has already been locked down for 2 weeks, and authorities extended it another 2 weeks on Thursday. Strawn admits that her mild symptoms put her in the asymptomatic category, and she thinks there are others who are reluctant to be tested.
We have to be real and honest when we start to feel symptoms and not be afraid, because, you know, there are people out there that they know they're having symptoms and they're scared to get tested. You know, and if you don't get tested, how would you know when it's completely out of your system and you test negative? You don't know. So, you know, you're still going around family, you're still going around friends.
Strawn's son was born prematurely, so naturally she's careful about his health. She says she's telling her story because she knows others are afraid to speak out.
A lot of people are not equipped to handle that. They don't want their business out there. And, you know, the stigma from COVID just being this thing like we don't know a lot about, and I think that a lot of people are just scared to say they have it because they don't know how they're going to be treated from even like their own family, their friends, you know. So I just think just not knowing so much about the virus is scary for people.
A 55-year-old man who claims he is addicted to cocaine was charged with rape and several counts of burglary in the magistrate's court today. Gillian Gray has the details.
Charles Pennerman, also known as Hensley Pennerman or Charles Forbes, was charged with 1 count of rape and 1 count of attempted rape. It is alleged that in August 2018, Pennerman had sex with a 22-year-old woman without her consent and attempted to rape a 21-year-old woman on March 21, 2015. Pennerman was not required to enter a plea for those matters. He was further charged with 6 counts of burglary, 5 counts of stealing, and 1 count of housebreaking. It is alleged that on January 30th, 2015, Pennerman Forbes broke into a home on Austin Lane and stole $10,000 worth of jewelry and shades and a Samsung cell phone worth $120. It is further alleged that on February 14th and 15th, 2015, Pennerman Forbes broke into a home in Garden Hills. On March 2015, he allegedly broke into a home in Chippenham and stole a leather bag worth $500, and in the same month stole a gold watch worth $300 from a home on Constitution Drive. The father of 9 also allegedly broke into 2 separate homes on Constitution Drive on January 2019 and August 2020, respectively. He was not required to enter a plea for those charges. Pennerman Forbes pled not guilty to 1 count of housebreaking on February 5, 2020, and guilty to 1 charge of stealing on the same date. The investigating officers matched Pennerman Forbes' prints to those found at the scene of that West Bay Street home. The prosecutor told the court that Pennerman Forbes stole an Apple laptop worth $1,000 and stole $121 in cash and coins. He was further charged with 1 count of resisting arrest and 1 count of assaulting a police officer. While pleading for mercy from the court, the 55-year-old said he was a 30-year cocaine addict and needed help as the drugs were killing him. Magistrate Joanne Ferguson Pratt said while she agrees Pennerman Forbes needs help, a custodial sentence is also warranted. She remanded him to the Bahamas Department of Corrections until August 13th, when he will return for sentencing. Reporting for our News, I'm Gillian Gray.
38-year-old Kenneth Williams was charged today with 1 count of causing public terror and 1 count of making use of violent and obscene language. Williams pleaded guilty to both charges. On August 5th, Williams allegedly posted a video on his Facebook page in which he said, "Kill the police and overthrow the government." His attorney, Tamara Tellis, told Magistrate Andrew Forbes that her client, who was a father of 2, told officers that he actually said, "Stop complaining because you can't overthrow the government." She added that her client has no prior convictions, is employed as an entertainer, and the post was out of his character. Williams allegedly posted the video after watching videos of police brutality. Magistrate Andrew Forbes said those types of posts seemed to be the trend, and even if Williams did not intend to act on the threat, he could have stirred others to act on those words. He fined Williams $300 on count 1 or 3 months in prison. and $150 on count 2, or 1 month in prison. Amid concerns over the constitutionality of the COVID-19 emergency orders, Chief Justice Brian Morey says nothing is stopping those who want to challenge the orders in court from doing so. Morey added that the Supreme Court has been up and running during the entire state of emergency. Jasmine Brown reports.
The Chief Justice sought to set the record straight on the matter as he appeared as a guest on Guardian Radio's Hit Back with Nahaja Black. He insisted anyone wishing to file a constitutional motion in relation to the COVID-19 emergency order has always been able to do so.
But constitutional matters are always urgent by their nature. And they could have been filed, they can be filed, and if they are filed, they will be dealt with in the appropriate manner by the judiciary.
The Emergency Powers COVID-19 Order 2020 has included restrictive measures like curfews and shutdowns of non-essential businesses and organizations and public transportation. It has resulted in beaches and parks being closed to the public. Some attorneys have said they plan to challenge the orders. The CJ said while he would not give his personal opinion on the matter, he planned on stating the facts. Morey insisted the judiciary has never stopped hearing constitutional motions during this COVID-19 emergency period, as the Supreme Court has never stopped functioning. Morey said the courts have heard many applications for injunctions during the state of emergency.
If at any time during the emergency, going back to the 17th of March, the current day, or indeed if at any time in the future, anyone wished to file a constitutional motion, the important point I wish to make is that they could have done so, and indeed they continue to do so. Now, once the matter is filed, of course, it doesn't get heard the next day. There are procedures that have to be followed. We have heard many applications for injunctions during the emergency, which are by their very nature urgent.
The CJ did emphasize, though, that there are certain hearings that weren't being pursued. However, he stressed that judicial officers, magistrates, and judges have been working very hard during this time.
So I don't want to suggest that the pandemic and the emergencies had no impact on the court system. It has. We have had to curtail our activities. We've had to streamline our staff during these lockdown periods, to just essential workers, working on a roster system, in order to protect the health and well-being of our staff and the members of the public. So I want to acknowledge that has occurred.
Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Meteorologists revealing new information on the 2020 hurricane season. For that and a first look at weather, we throw things over to meteorologist Greg Thompson. Good night, Greg.
Thanks, Jared. I'm meteorologist Greg Thompson with your first look at weather. We got some new numbers put out by the National Hurricane Center and Colorado State University for the 2000 Atlantic hurricane season. Very high numbers now, 13 to 19 named storms put out there by the National Hurricane Center and 24 named storms put out by Colorado State University. Those systems are expected to be churning out there in the open Atlantic. So of course, you notice the numbers have increased. So it's time to get ready for this hurricane season. Taking a look at some of the names for the upcoming season, we've already gone through 9 of those. Isaias was the last system that moved through the Bahamas. We expect Josephine to be the next one. And of course, we go to Wilfred. And if we do exhaust that, we will move into the Greek alphabet. In our next slide, we take a look at the season and how things will be peaking. We are now at August 7th. August 20 through the 10th will be the peak of the season. You know this, things are going uphill. So very busy season expected. And of course, the National Hurricane Center do expect it to be above average. Taking a look now at our weather. Outside our studios, we have 85 degrees under some clear skies with just a few clouds around. Variable winds, feels like 91 degrees. Satellite-wise, some isolated showers across some of the islands, making its way across the Grand Bahama area as well as the Abacos. We also have some showers popping up across Andros. High pressure dominating our weather for the next several days. That's your first look at weather. A look at your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, how the homeless live during lockdown. Plus, fishermen vent their frustrations over COVID orders. That's coming up when we come back.
Rev up on the next promotion? Okay. Nice.
Bye. You give up it.
Best 2 out of 3.
Sign up for Rev Trio and opt in to NBA League Pass absolutely free. Visit rev.bs or call 601-8992 for details. Rev, you and us, together.
Life under lockdown has been a tough pill for many Bahamians to swallow, but what happens to those persons with no home to stay in? Bethany McDermott sought to find out how the homeless are surviving during the 2-week period. He filed this report.
Hard times are now even harder for the homeless, many of whom have nowhere to go during the 2-week lockdown. With movement restricted 4 days a week, it's even more difficult for them to secure a hot meal. We met Derek Green, who said during the lockdown, his home is Darling Seaside, a stall at Potter's Key Dock. He explained how he gets food.
Some people don't come around and give somebody something to eat or something, the rest of something to eat. What happened? People got to survive. They got to try to see what they can do. Sometimes I be in the box late at night. Sometimes I catch my fish. I get my grits and stuff and rice and things. That's all I worry about.
Green isn't happy about the lockdown either.
People got to survive. If when they get $1, they get $2, they go try to see if they can find one bread or something to drink, something cool off. See how hot it is. I ain't get hot it is. I try to say get a jug of water, a cold jug of water, place closed, you can't get nothing.
Still, Green is one of the more fortunate ones. Slim, who walked around with a backpack, attempted to explain where he sleeps every night.
What I'm saying, right? It'd be more better for me to be a place where I can make it, over there in the same area. That's only a risk you run in your life out there in this kind of area. People believe in God. God will guide you and protect you anywhere you put it.
Great Commission Ministry Senior Pastor Bishop Walter Hanschel makes it his mission to traverse the island feeding the homeless. He says GCM has housed between 12 and 15 families in the last month. He called on government to do more to ensure Bahamians are taken care of.
We need the government to step in and provide some rental assistance for persons who have no job. The government needs to pay the rent, find the money and pay the rent. People cannot be living out in the streets and living in their vehicles. That's not right. So I appeal to our government to please correct this problem. And if you don't do it, then people are going to turn to crime.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
Though local fishermen were allowed to fish today during the daytime, many of their vessels remain docked at Potter's Key. Some of them claim emergency orders are hitting them where it hurts, their pockets. George O'Bain reports.
As their boats that would usually be out to sea making a living during the season sit docked here at Potter's Key, many fishermen vent their frustrations about how the emergency measures have been affecting their business, while some say they understand that the government has to do what's necessary. Potter's Key dock is usually buzzing with activity as fishermen set up tables filled with fish of all different sizes and conked to sell. Today, those tables were empty, and most boats remained docked even though emergency orders allow for subsistence fishing on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays during the daytime. Fishermen we spoke to said the impact of the restrictions is being felt in their pockets.
But this lockdown period, right, there's have a lot of effect on the fishermen and things, right? What they need to do to alleviate that problem is to find some time for the fishermen to get sort out to go. That's what they need to do with the fishermen now. They slow down the money, everything. Slow down everything. The government need to give me the money now.
Fellow fisherman Ashton Alsegier also vented his frustrations.
Because we can't make proper transit cargo for the demand of seafood and necessities or whatever seafood maintained. You understand? And even with the limit on crew members being aboard a ship, you still won't be able to catch as much crop.
We met William Smith, who has been fishing for over 40 years aboard his boat, cleaning bait for his next fishing voyage. He said the toughest adjustment has been the restricted hours, but he feels that the government has the right protocols in place to assist fishermen.
Restricted hours is very hard on us, but owing to the 311 call, the Bahamians are able to call that, and they get help by the police to the fishing dock where they leave and go out to sea.
Captain Josh Green, a fisherman of over 30 years, said the changes have been difficult but necessary.
I said that has no effect on fishing. Because the fishermen, them, he didn't really stop the fishermen from fishing. Because that's one of the industry that brings in the revenue to feed our families. It may be a little difficult because you can't move sometime like you want to move. But there's a reason for these things.
Reporting for our News, I'm Georgie O'Bain.
When our news comes back from the break, small businesses face big challenges. Stay tuned.
Rev up on the next promotion? Okay. Nice.
Bye. You give up it.
That's 2 out of 3.
Sign up for Rev Trio and opt in to NBA League Pass absolutely free. Visit rev.bs or call 601-8992 for details. Rev, you and us, together.
Welcome back. Small business owners continue to struggle amid the latest lockdown. Marcellus Hall reports.
Well, as the country grows through this latest lockdown phase due to the increase in COVID-19 cases, small business owners in particular find themselves on the outside looking in. Their hope is that things will turn around sooner rather than later. Tommy Stubbs, a consultant at Buttons Formal Wear, says the wedding industry in particular feels overlooked by the government's approach to shutting down business in the country.
The wedding industry is a huge industry in this country and around the world. And our local brides and grooms are more frustrated than we are, especially since every time they plan a wedding, it's a postponement after so much investment. We feel their pain, but we do understand that we're in damage control as far as the country with the COVID-19, and we understand that the government has its hands full. So we don't know exactly what's going to happen, and that's the big concern.
Travel agent Orly Smith says her business has been devastated, but she remains optimistic that things will turn around.
Here in the Bahamas, I've had clients call me wanting to just go somewhere here on the islands. Even though we cannot travel aboard, persons have been calling me, asking me, what can we do here on the island?
As for personal trainer Godfrey Robinson, who also works in the hospitality industry in Bimini, there are major concerns.
You can't continuously close down every single establishment because there's a development of cases. Yeah, the safety of the country is first priority, I agree, but are there persons sitting down discussing the way forward? The company that I work for, we did everything possible and more to ensure the safety of our employees and also to ensure the safety of the guests coming to see us. We had a good run at first, but we ran into problems with our occupancy once the guests that booked to come to visit us could not get their tests back in time. In regards to the whole hospitality thing, I don't see that coming back until the rest of the world, the United States in particular, can really get a grip, get a good hold on the situation.
Reporting for our news, I'm Marcellus Hall.
Still to come, big wins for Bahamian ballers. And later, the extended weather forecast with meteorologist Greg Thompson. Stay tuned.
Rev up on the next promotion? Okay. Nice.
Bye. You give up it.
That's 2 out of 3.
Sign up for Rev Trio and opt in to NBA League Pass absolutely free. Visit rev.bs or call 601-8992 for details. Rev, you and us, together.
The Bahamas' 2 NBA stars were back on the floor last night, picking up big wins. Marcellus Hall has the highlights.
Well, as the NBA bubble restart continued last night, both of our NBA players taking to the floor, both teams in need of wins, I should say, as the season has gotten shorter. As it stands, they both did pick up much-needed victories, but as far as their individual performances are concerned, one did a lot better than the other. Bahamian NBA players DeAndre Ayton and Buddy Hield having entirely different experiences in the bubble since the NBA restart in Orlando. Ayton and the Suns continued to play well as they remained undefeated with a 114-99 win over the Indiana Pacers. Ayton with another strong performance. He led the Suns in scoring, 23 points on the night. He also added 10 rebounds, 4 blocks, and 2 steals. Phoenix now 4-0 in the bubble with a game against the Miami Heat coming up for you tomorrow. Meanwhile, Buddy and the Sacramento Kings have struggled since the restart. Kings finally getting their first win yesterday as they beat the Pelicans 140-125. It came without much help from Buddy as he had another rough shooting game. Buddy in this one played just 11 minutes, finished with 3 points on 1 of 5 shooting from the floor. Kings' next game, well, that comes your way today when they play the Brooklyn Nets. The NBA restart will continue this weekend. We'll, of course, continue to track the progress of both DeAndre and Buddy, hoping for Buddy to get himself back on track as far as shooting is concerned. Reporting for our news, I'm Marcellus Hall.
That'll do it for this portion of the news. We throw it back to meteorologist Greg Thompson for the extended weather forecast.
Thanks, Jared. Now for a second look at weather. Taking a look at our satellite picture around the islands. Isolated showers and thunderstorms occurring across the Grand Bahama and the Abacos. Upper level system to the east of the islands, bringing some increasing showers across those areas through tonight and tomorrow. Your boating forecast for the northwest and central Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. East to southeast winds 10 to 15 knot seas running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. While in the southeast Bahamas at east to southeasterly flow continuing at 50 knots, seas running 3 to 5 feet. Here's a look now at your national forecast. And now a look for your extended forecast through Wednesday. That's a look at your forecast. Do enjoy your evening.
Thank you for joining us for our news tonight. To catch our news on the go, download the Rev Go Play app. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Jared Higgs. Have a beautiful weekend, Bahamas.